All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Fans Perspective. I'm Double A Ron.
Box.
Uber Bulge.
Clay Zeus.
And Westicles.
Clay Zeus is a new guy. You probably will never, ever, ever hear his voice again after this podcast, if I were to guess. But he's going to be sitting in this with us. We got a special guest today. And Juicebox, since this is your thing, I'm going to let you introduce him.
All right. We have with us today the author of the comic book Guardians, Todd Black.
Hello, everyone. You may refer to me as He Who Is Black Magic.
All right.
He Who Is Black Magic.
See.
I can go with it. I can dig it. All right. So,
you dig it?
I can. So tell us a little bit about Guardians. Just give us a basic rundown.
No problem. Guardians is my take on the superhero genre. It's about two superheroes named Element and Chaos who were created by a deity to protect a city in need, which is in this case Delta City. And they have these vast array of powers. They have complete control of their powers. They have zero people skills. And basically because though they're perfectly fine saving the people, they don't know what to do afterwards. So what happens is they go and they stand on this stone watchtower that literally overlooks the city, and they just wait there. And they wait to be needed, and then they go save the city, and they go right back to the tower. As this goes on for about a few weeks, and then one of them, Element, starts asking, is there more to our lives than just this purpose? Or are we supposed to just do this all the time? He thinks no. His brother Chaos thinks yes. And it just, everything starts spiraling out of there. The super villains start coming into town, and every single arc is them asking questions of themselves about how they're supposed to be living in this world that they were literally, in the city, they were literally created to save. So
they were literally created to save one city?
Yes.
So not the world. We're not talking about the world, just one city.
Who do you think they are? Superman? No, they were literally created for Delta City, and that's actually a big question of the series: is why did this deity, who I refer to as the Great Maker, why did they create them for just this city? And
that is an interesting thought, because
I give away half the answer in Guardians Number 0. So I know one of you's read that, so he will know half the answer, but the real answer is something we develop as the story goes on.
I will find out when I can afford the comics next week.
We'll get to that. There are many ways for you to get the comic, which we will discuss later on.
That's an interesting take on
slavery.
Thank you.
it. It really is.
Thank you. I wanted to do something different because criticism, if you want to call it that, when I told people I was going to make Guardians, is like, why are you making a superhero comic when there's DC and Marvel and even Dark Horse and some of these other places? I'm like, because I have a story that I wanted to tell, and I feel that it's different than, I'll be fair, most other superhero stories out there. I can't think of a character who is like Element and Chaos in their situation. It's not Thor, because he was so arrogant, he had to be banished to Earth. It's not Wonder Woman, because she was, sort of knew about the world, sort of adapting, but she didn't have this sense of, I have to do. She wanted to integrate, whereas Guardians kind of don't. It's not Superman, because he was raised in Smallville, came to Metropolis, and was essentially a whole person before he even donned Superman.
There are only so many superheroes that are literally made for one purpose.
Literally snapped into existence. They weren't born and raised. You're made, and they were sent down to Earth in a very cool city, which is one of my favorite of the series, if I may say so, which I can't, because I'm the creator.
Well, and that's an interesting concept, too, because if you really think about it, how many movies, especially things like Memento and things like that, where you're thrust into a situation where you have no memory, like, you have no idea what's going on. Like, imagine waking up in, I won't even see a dark room. Imagine waking up just like in a white room. You have no idea where you are. You have no idea what you're doing there. You know who you are, but you don't know what's going on. Imagine that, but also with the innate, thought of, I have to save these people.
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are.
No.
But I have to save you. That's a really interesting concept, because you're right. A lot of superheroes decide.
Yeah, they choose.
Yeah.
They choose.
And if I'm gauging this correctly, and stop me if I'm wrong, but they don't, or this is what it kind of seems like. Or is it, at least they don't feel like a choice.
It's more like, a long-standing question in the series is what is, the question of purpose. With the Guardians, they not only know their purpose, for lack of a better term, they accept it. They don't mind, doing this, because they were created to protect these people in this city. It's just that they want to know especially Element, wants to know, is there more to it than that?
Well, and Chaos kind of feels like he has nothing better to do. What else is he going to do?
Well, it's not. I'll go to correct you on that. It's not that he is incredibly focused.
Yeah.
He's. I hate saying it like this because he's not. He's a lot like Batman because Batman wants to protect Gotham City.
It's like Element is more, what do we do?
Yeah.
This is fine, busy. I'm going to sit here, relax.
Yeah.
And Chaos is just like, I'm going to stand here and watch and wait for something to happen, and then I'm going to go.
Yeah. He fully believes in his purpose, and he accepts that. And to him, to do anything but his purpose, this deviating happens. If, let's just say, there's people on the other side of the city, and instead of being on the watchtower, and then something happens on the other side of the city that they don't see because they're not on that watchtower, and people die because they're interacting with people that they wanted to, or they chose even, to interact with instead of doing their mission. That's his set, whereas Element is, we could be better Guardians through knowing these people and caring about them more. And it's this fun dynamic between these two. And I love it. That's the
So I'm guessing it's along the lines of one's an introvert, one's an extrovert.
That's a nice way of putting it,
Yeah.
One is more fluid, one is very rigid. One sees purpose, one sees mission, one sees chance for expansion, one sees we need to stay on the path we were put on,
Yeah.
And they both evolve in their own ways,
And it's a question of what's the right way to be a hero.
Yeah, that's a great question. I like that. And for them, it's neither of them are wrong and neither of them are right. Because it's like Chaos says, we were created for this purpose. We were created to save Delta City, and they do that, and they love doing that, and they love helping these people. Chaos has a great appreciation for the police force. One of our characters is essentially their liaison. I introduced him in issue number 4, Captain Newell, and he has a great respect for Captain Newell to the extent that when he approaches, he goes into attention, because that's the respect he has for this character and for the police force in general. And, he respects them, and he respects every person he saves. But he doesn't have to pander to them. He doesn't want to pander to them. He won't, wave to the crowd and everything, whereas Element will... He won't, milk it in, but he'll be like, "Hey, everybody! I'm glad I can save you. Glad I can save you."
The publicity one.
He doesn't mind that. He's not like Booster Gold. I actually have a character coming up.
I love Booster.
He is not Booster Gold. I just want to make that clear. I have a character who is like Booster Gold coming up in actually the next arc we're doing right now. But Element is like he doesn't want it, but he doesn't. He wants to have at least the option of doing that. Or Chaos is like, okay, we save the people. We need to get back because someone else might need us at any minute.
Yeah.
It's this dichotomy, and yet. Beyond all that, they're brothers, and they have this innate trust with each other that I honestly think is not in comics very often. That they are brothers in everything, but DNA, I suppose. Because they were snapped into creation. So
when they were snapped into the creation, just as a question, age-wise,
I would say
maturity level. I'm curious on both.
Well, how mature is anyone? I mean, come on.
True.
I would say age-wise, I would say early 30s. Late 20s.
Okay, and with this idea of an innate family connection.
Yeah, and like they were among the things they were given. When they were given perfect control of their powers, they were given knowledge of the world in general and basic scientific principles. Like I have Chaos spat out some scientific know-how in one of our arcs, and they know how things work. They know how the world operates. You still don't.
Okay.
They know history. They don't, but they won't know who's the current mayor of Delta City, who actually haven't introduced yet. So it's that kind of thing. But they were said, this is your brother, trust them, and they've never questioned that. They will argue fairly. They will debate like they should, but they never hate each other.
They've been created with a built-in just family connection to each other.
Yeah.
That's really what I was looking for. Yeah.
True.
So they are brothers.
They are brothers.
They even act as such,
they act like
despite only existing for so long, despite being at a certain point.
From where we are right now,
age-wise.
from Guardians number 0 to technically, I'll just be fair to where we've released Guardians number 10, which is the one we just released. I would say they've only been alive about 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and so all this is happening within that. Currently within 2 months.
2 months.
A very long 2 months, and just
they have a lot of character development from the first issue to the newest one.
They are.
Chaos has come a long way already toward actually, getting out of that. I'm just going to stand here and do nothing while I wait.
Yeah, I think isn't that what characters are supposed to do? If they stay rigid for too long.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of comics where they just don't, change the character.
Yeah.
They don't develop the way they should.
That's the other thing I really liked about my Guardians is that they have all this potential for growth. I just got to show it, and the way I show it is through both the supervillains and these situations that they get to. Because I like to think that for every single arc they learn something.
Yeah,
especially like that first 4 issues. You see that development, and like that last page, which I know you've seen. Mm-hmm. That's like the purpose page, I like to call it. Is like, this is what we're going to be now. And then every arc after that is we learn something, and some of it's good, some of it is necessary, and some of it is just hard truths that they have to learn. And not all of it is easy, not all of it is good, and that's good for me because you need these wide-ranging stories. Not everything can have a happy ending, and I don't have happy endings in like 2 of my arcs, and it's just the way it is. Not everything can be perfectly wrapped up,
Yeah,
right.
Which is something that, I mean, the comic book scene as a whole has a grasp on, but they don't exploit it as much as they should.
Yeah.
Because even in the story arcs, and X-Men is the hugest offender of this, they always, like the X-series, they show death, they show destruction, they show all this stuff, but they always wrap it up to somebody saves the day.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems.
very rarely, I will say, do they not do that.
Right.
Because there are times when, yes,
if you're an
the day is
X-Men, most
not
likely if
saved.
you die, you're not staying dead very long.
Yeah, that's the problem with X-Men, really.
It's a Jean Grey, Nightcrawler.
Well, I mean, okay,
Professor
since
Xavier.
you talked about Jean Grey. Like when she became the fully realized Dark Phoenix, you're like, well, that's got to be it, because they built her up for so long to be just this all powerful thing. And when she seemingly wins, they pull something out of nowhere and they win. Same thing every time Apocalypse takes over. Here comes, Apocalypse takes over. The world's in chaos. Well, here comes this insert time traveler Cable. Hey, come back with me. We have to do this. Or Bishop or whoever. They always seem to cycle through somehow, some way, make the world good again.
Yeah.
And
there are only
it's
few
refreshing
examples I can think of with real consequence.
Right, but it's refreshing
House of
to
M, for
hear.
instance.
House of M.
It's refreshing to hear that you are going to have arcs where maybe that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah. I have 2 like back to back. One is called Adjusting the Frequency, and I won't spoil anything, but the villain wins, but not in the way you expect, and that was actually part of the fun of that arc. It's honestly one of my favorite arcs I've written so far. Because Frequency, our villain, was such a great character. It was my first female villain of Guardians, and she was really fun to write. But she wins point blank.
And the things she's doing in that arc.
Oh, please, by all means.
They're horrible things, but she has a very good reason.
Yeah,
and I can honestly say, she's doing it to save someone she cares about.
Yeah.
But it's like, how far is she willing to go to hurt these people who don't deserve it, just to get the data she needs to save the person that she has that she loves?
So she's a complicated villain,
which
are some of the best villains.
Who's to say that any of us wouldn't do the same in that position?
Yeah. And I'll get to Frequency in a second, but every one of my villains, I want to try to do it like a different, trope or stereotype kind of sort, and then break it in some way. Like the first villain we have is Tempest, he can control the wind, and he can't create it, but he can control it, and so he has this grand master plan to obviously destroy the city. Because what else would it make a maniacal villain without the power to do?
One of your villains has to be the maniacal. I'm only here to wreck shit.
Exactly, but then you find out some certain stuff about him that is like, well, he actually planned this out quite well and quite brilliantly, and then when we bring him back, I'm going to reveal this huge twist about him because it was just too good not to do. And then I have a parkour free runner named FaZe, so he's already agile, incredibly gifted, can move around like no one else, and then he can phase through walls. So
horrifying. There's a part where he jumps on a building but just phases all the way through it.
Yeah, he literally goes pinball wall to wall. Just he'll phase through the walls, he'll springboard off the wall to go down, and then he'll just pinball, and then he rolls to the ground, looks at the Guardians and salutes and leaves. And they're like, "Say what?" And then Frequency, who is one of my favorites, she has no powers, but she's so smart. She has found a frequency, that a sound that she can project through any speaker and control people to a certain extent. and she's absolutely brilliant. And so the fun part with Frequency is that the Guardians don't meet her, but she meets her puppets, and that creates a fun dynamic because it's like, how do you stop someone you don't know where they are?
Yeah.
And then the latest film we've had is The Silence, who is the world's greatest assassins. He has this exos. Yeah, show him the picture. Yeah.
That actually does look pretty badass.
Yeah, he has this exosuit, if you will.
It almost looks like something from Witchblade.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Which is a good thing.
With the blades,
he has this suit.
It's like a weird techno-organic look.
It's
like Speed Grapher almost.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's this suit that allows him to literally cancel out all sound in an immediate area. So that allows him to literally sneak in, kill someone, make no sound, and then he can just wait in the room for the door to open, and while they're panicking, waiting for the body, looking at the body of their fallen person or whatever, he leaves and no one knows.
That's a useful hitman skill.
Well, not only that, they can't really cry for help because
nothing comes out
all
sound is cut off.
And this thing is like, if all of a sudden you felt like you went deaf, what would you do? You'd be like, you'd be trying to speak, you wouldn't be looking around, and that's when he just uses his blades that he has in his arm, and he just goes, single stab wound, and he's dead, and then he's gone. He's that good, and he's back in Delta City, and the Guardians have to try and find a way to stop this guy, and he can turn invisible. Oh, did I forget to mention that? So you can't see him, you can't hear him, and he's gonna kill you. What are you gonna do, people?
Ultimate stealth.
That's exactly it. And so it's just, again, so those 4 villains right there, incredibly different.
I got the feeling he's gonna be quite a big recurring villain for them.
Oh, he's gonna be coming back.
They've definitely made an enemy out of him.
Oh, by the time you get to the end of Guardians number 9, it's he's coming back. So I love these villains. I honestly have a huge rogues gallery for my Guardians, and it's so much fun. And I love getting to these issues because I'm like, oh, I'm getting close to this character. Oh, I'm getting close to this character.
I think if I ever dove into writing, I think I'd enjoy writing the villains more than the heroes.
It is. It's just because you want to make these villains that are not just iconic, but you want to make it to where they're a great foil. The heroes, because if you think of Batman, why does everyone love the Batman villains? It's because they're a reflection of him. I heard this great example of like the Joker's what he'll be if he ever goes insane. Cobblepot Penguin is who he'd be if he ever just became greedy and wanted just to hoard everything.
Yeah.
The Riddler is if he ever goes narcissistic. If his mind ever fractures and he has that duality, he's Two-Face. If he ever tries to cross the line, he's Catwoman. If he ever,
they're all reflections of his potential insanity.
Yeah.
Because they're all reflective of a different form of insanity.
Exactly, and it just goes on and on. And with my Guardians, I wanted those reflections of Tempest is what they are if they ever just wanted the power and they just wanted to keep going crazy. Faces if they don't care. Frequencies if not they're willing to sacrifice people. It just keeps going on and on. I love these villains, and I just can't wait to get the next one. They're fun. And then there's the heroes. I mean, I've got heroes coming up. Our current arc is called What Makes a Hero, and we introduced the first new hero to Delta City, conveniently called Captain Delta, and that guy raises a lot of questions for the Guardians about what it is to be a hero and what a hero should be and what they could be, and are they even heroes? And I think that's going to be. I can't wait for people.
That sounds like compelling character development.
That's what I love. I don't get me wrong. I have great action sequences. If you show them the Dragon page, gotta show them the Dragon page.
What issue is that?
Guardians number 3. I love. I don't mind doing the action pieces. They're awesome. But I want characters that I can grow, that I can relate to in a way, and that I can show. These are characters that are going to be deep in these stories, and I'm going to be a focus, and it's not just Shadow, Avengers Assemble, and we're going to go fight Thanos or whatever.
He uses his energy powers to make dragons.
Cool. I like that. I like the fact too that it sounds like you've made villains that are actually going to test.
They are.
Your heroes, because you've got heroes who have fully awakened powers and they know how to use them. So
full control.
That presents a little bit of a challenge there to make villains that are going to actually challenge. I mean, you don't want Golden Age Superman here,
carrying universes on his back through a chain.
Exactly.
Yeah, inventing a new power every week based on the writer's whim.
I don't know. They don't always see eye to eye, but they still manage to put whatever aside, and they have really good teamwork because they have this trust.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about they always usually defeat the villain as a team.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Captain America and Iron Man. There's a good dynamic. They have a certain respect towards each other, and to a degree,
absolutely.
To a degree, they trust each other. But in certain issues, they're going to fracture. That's how the Civil War happened.
They were actually very good friends, despite some differing viewpoints, until the big turn point.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Is like, even though I can't say that Element and Chaos won't fracture, they'll never fracture to such a degree that they would hate each other with a passion that sometimes Tony Stark and Steve Rogers have. Because they have that innate trust and that brotherhood that they honestly don't. And so that's another thing I really love about my characters. So
yeah.
I know you got questions. Fire them off.
Let them go, man.
Well, I don't really have much that we haven't talked about, actually.
That's how we roll.
It's just general questions. Like, what are some of your favorite heroes?
That was going to be one of my questions.
I grew up on Batman. I mean, I literally,
everyone.
Yeah, you're not going
to
be all fanatics about Batman.
We're all fanatics.
Batman animated series, watching it with my dad, then Superman animated series, Justice League Unlimited, Spider-Man, X-Men. There weren't any Avengers cartoons, and I realized
there were
more recent.
Recently, though, yeah.
I mean, still really good.
Some of them are good.
I think, let's just be fair, the best one was Superhero Squad. Just saying.
I haven't actually seen that.
Superhero Squad, hero up! No. But that, I grew up on those, the Batman movies, those are my thing. And then X-Men came in with the movies, and those were good,
That's the one I remember the most from my childhood, actually. X-Men. I read that with my stepmom growing up. I read X-Men comics.
Yeah, I didn't get into comics until I was 18.
I watched the animated series with my dad.
That I watched every episode. So.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't get into comics until I was 18 because I didn't know I had a comic store near me. I swear. Well, it also, 1990s, early 2000s. My parents didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money. And the few things I did, I was buying video games and the such. And then I got to 18. I went to Parkland College, and I was reading about Dark Reign, which is the Marvel series that's about to come up, and I was like, this kind of sounds interesting. So I was like, I should see if we have a comic book store. And sure enough, G-Mart in Champaign.
Which makes a cameo in your book.
It does. I do. I make a cameo with my comic book store. They've been very loyal to me, promoting Guardians. They actually have a Guardians poster up on their thing and everything. But, that's the thing. I was like, then I started getting into everything. And I was like, I got to read the Justice League. And I realized how little I got to read Batman. Oh my gosh. For anyone who's just watched the cartoons, and just thinks, I know what to expect from a comic.
It's so much more.
I had that. It was what was it? It was Battle for the Cowl, which was great.
I haven't actually read that yet.
Okay, well
I've heard. I know the basics.
But there was a scene where Jim Gordon, who was still commissioner at the time, was talking to the mayor, and all of a sudden this officer comes in and goes, "Mr. Mayor," and he goes, "Yes," and then bang, they kill the mayor. Jane Doe the whole time, the Batman villain, and I'm like, you just. Duh! It was graphic.
The comics go a lot farther than the animated series.
And then I heard about how the reason the Joker gas came to be in the Batman cartoons is because they couldn't kill him. But they had to leave a mark with Joker, and they're like, Joker gas, to leave the smile on their face and everything. And there's such a leap that you can do in comics that you can't do in cartoon media, especially Saturday morning cartoons, which is what this essentially was. Back in the 90s. And it's just that disconnect. And I obviously adapted to it because I still read comics today, but it was so funny to see. Well, not funny, but it was just the culture clash of what you can do on television versus what you can do in comics, and
it's a pretty big difference sometimes.
And that's actually the thing I applied to Guardians is that I will have dark themes in my comic, but the darkest thing I honestly think I can say I had in Guardians right now is Guardians number 0. A child dies, and you see her bleed. And everything, but that was for impact. I had to show the need for that. And then in the Silence arc, a couple of people get killed, and you see them screaming as they die and stuff like that. But I want Guardians to be an all ages comic.
Yeah.
Whereas kids will enjoy it, teenagers will understand it, and adults will get the deeper themes.
Yeah, full appreciation.
Full appreciation. I want it to be appealed to across all levels. So, and I've heard good things from all age groups, so I know I'm doing my job. So.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
That is excellent.
And favorite superhero besides Batman is Shazam. I want to make a Shazam TV series. I actually have 60 scripts written. I kid you not. DC Comics call me.
Shazam is awesome.
I love Shazam.
What are some of your favorite comic book writers?
Going back to just the basics. Scott Snyder is absolutely great.
Yeah.
Gail Simone.
She has done some incredible Batgirl.
Yeah,
Batgirl, Birds of Prey, Secret
One
Six,
of my favorites right there.
Yeah.
Which one?
Birds of Prey.
Oh, Birds of Prey. Yeah, a lot of people want Birds of Prey back, and I'm like,
It's good stuff.
Yeah, it is. She's wild so many on Secret Six, both runs. I met her. She's so kind. Her husband is actually an incredibly kind individual. I met her 2 years ago at C2E2, and I gave her Guardians Number 0, asked for her thoughts and all that. And then last year, I was in Artist Alley for the first time, and she was there with her husband again, and she was talking to people. So I waved back, and the husband looked at me and goes, "Oh, you're the Guardians guy." And I'm like, "You remember me?" And he goes, "Yeah, how could I forget you?" So this is they're great people. I always have appreciation for Matt Fraction.
I need to read some of his work.
One of the first comics I got from Marvel was his run on Invincible Iron Man, America's Most Wanted. That entire run was magic, and he, I will honestly say, was the guy who more or less pushed me to start getting into comics. I was at a Marvel panel. I asked him a question about how to get into comics. He goes, "Kid, if you want to write comics, find an artist and make a comic." And I'm like, okay.
Simple enough.
There you go.
Yeah, see, Matt Fraction, I have not read enough of him. I've read very little, in fact.
That's fine.
He's got an ongoing series called Sex Criminals.
Oh, yeah.
Which I read the first volume, and it's hilariously written, and it plays on all kinds of tropes about how you learn about sex growing up and stuff.
Yeah.
It's brilliantly written. It was really the point. But I have yet to read any of his superhero stuff.
He's done a lot, and he was at one time the prominent writer at Marvel.
He's actually responsible for one of the current most acclaimed runs, and that's Hawkeye.
Yes, Hawkeye. Yes, oh my gosh, I forgot about Hawkeye. Yeah, he did Hawkeye. His run on Iron Man is still legendary. Everyone compares it. If someone fails at Iron Man, they're like, well, if they had only done, like Matt Fraction had done the Most Wanted and everything. That's the level he did. He did Defenders for a while. He did Iron Fist.
He's one of those just
so
acclaimed
good.
comic book writers I have yet to get a hold of, really.
And I met him. I got to meet him. I took a picture with him. He was a funny guy. He signed my Iron Man number 500 comics, so that was nice of him.
Yeah.
There's so many out there, and it's like some you don't even know, but their runs. Jeff Johns. I mean,
Jeff Johns.
He's responsible for a lot.
I got into Green Lantern because of Blackest Night.
I got into Green Lantern and Aquaman because of him.
Oh, Aquaman! Oh my God! Tell the story. I gotta tell the story. So, I was at C2E2. I apologize for saying this so much, as I honestly one of the cons I go to every year. And Chris Hemsworth was there. It was the year they were doing Thor. And he was there, and I got to meet him, got a picture with him and everything, but he was doing his Q&A panel. And I asked him a very honest question. I said, if you could do another comic hero aside from Thor, because at the time, Chris Evans had just jumped over to Captain America from doing Human Torch, Ryan Reynolds was about to do Green Lantern and did Deadpool in Origins, and now he's doing Deadpool again in the right way.
Which I'm so excited for.
Oh, yes. And so I asked him, who would you like to be? And he goes, who do you think I could be? And I, remembering Justice League, I could be a good Aquaman. And the crowd booed me out of the building. And I kid you not, this snot-nosed 10-year-old brat who's standing behind me in the line because we were at a microphone, he starts chewing me out because I said Aquaman. He goes, "Do you know who Aquaman is?" And I wanted to hit this kid. And so I go up so eventually I get to meet Mr. Hemsworth, and I was like, I was the one who said Aquaman, and he goes, "Oh, I understand that. I understand what I said. I apologize for that kid behind you." Oh, it's fine. But I always remember that. And, IGN did an article about, can there be a serious comic book movie about Aquaman? And I'm like, yes, there can be.
There have been more than enough storylines.
And then there's two more parts to this. And then the next day, I swear, was the Batman Brave and the Bold episode where they did a musical number with Aquaman about the Curries of Atlantis. It was hilarious. I kid you not, it was great stuff. And I'm like, this is what people think about, okay? And then 3 months after that, Jeff Johns is writing Aquaman, and everyone shuts the heck up. Issue number 1, and Aquaman is back, and I'm like, yes, this is what I'm talking about.
Well, because Aquaman, whenever you say Aquaman until recently,
fucking Super Friends.
Super Friends.
Well, I can't remember Justice League. I grew up on Justice League.
He's got that stigma.
The seahorse. He's riding a seahorse. He gets caught up in the rings of that soda can.
Yeah,
you know,
and he's got a jet ski. Everyone else is just, doing what they do. Invisible jet, fly, batwing, whatever have you. Aquaman, who can control all the life forms in the sea, is riding a jet ski.
I know. I have a vision of I think this would be the most epic Aquaman scene ever. As I kid you not, it's in a movie. Okay, it's Aquaman versus Black Man. They're fighting in the ocean. Okay, they go to this deep, dark part of the ocean, nothing is around, and Manta goes, I've got you now. Okay, it was really, why is that? I'm clearly your equal. It was yeah, but none of your fish friends are around. And they go, Aquaman goes, I wouldn't count on that. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not there. And he sends the pulse out, right? You just see it ripple. And then from the darkness of the ocean comes these squid tentacles, Yeah. And it just starts grabbing at Manta, and that would be so boss.
Yeah.
Because you're not making fun of it when, the
exactly.
giant squid that's killing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually that's something Jeff Johns has done in his New 52 stuff.
Yeah, it's just that...
The shark coming up and just taking out some of the trench.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it's the great scene is from Black Manta, and it's these guards are making fun of him because he got beat by Aquaman. He just waits till they turn their backs, and he kills one of them outright, grabs the other one by the neck, and he goes, he was born in the ocean. His skin is 10 times harder as you would mine. He has the strength of Superman. He controls the life of this sea. Do you think I would be in here if he wasn't better than me? And it's just when your villain rants about how good you are,
exactly.
You're doing something right.
It really sucks that the writers have actually had to build him by doing stuff like that too, though.
But the best part about the Jeff Johns Aquaman run, and I think it was number 1. He got into the top 10 of comics, the top 10 sales, and everyone's like, Aquaman?
Yeah.
Aquaman?
People have taken notice of Aquaman again,
think about
finally.
that. Because think about the hundreds of comics that come out, and the hundreds of memes of how inferior Aquaman is, and then he beats the top 10. He beats Avengers. He beats Superman. He beats Wonder Woman. He beats... I would take that back. I think Justice League was above him on that one. But it was just... He was the number 10 top-selling comic of that month. And everyone's like, Aquaman?
Yeah.
There you go.
You just needed a good writer.
Yeah,
You need someone who appreciates the character. If
Yeah,
I ever got into
exactly.
DC, I would love to write Aquaman and Mira because I love those two.
They are awesome
She's
together.
such a beast.
She's awesome. This current arc aside, because they're doing something weird that I'm not going to.
I'm not caught up on their current arc.
Don't. It's
I will get there, but
they do something that's honestly ugly, and I don't want to talk about. But Mira is boss.
she is awesome.
So
And you're familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I wrote a fanfic.
Yeah.
Spirit of Earth.
I knew you were familiar with it. What I think of her as is she's kind of like Katara, but with an intense will to kill if need be.
So she's more like Korra.
Yeah, if need be.
Yeah.
She's just cutting people up.
Yeah, she is. I remember they were.
Mira goes crazy.
I love Mira. She's awesome. Go redheads. She was in a store in Cape Town or Cape Cove, the place where Aquaman lives in.
Yes.
New 52, and she's with a friend. And these police try to arrest her. These police try to
They try to arrest her.
They try to arrest her, and she's like, "Why do you think you can take me?" And so they start sparking some spew about this, and she goes. And they say, you're nowhere near water. You got no power over us. And she goes, you do realize your body is made up of water? And she starts sucking the water out of them.
Yeah.
She doesn't kill them, but she makes them fall to their knees. And she starts controlling the water. It's like, I control all water. Okay?
Yeah.
There's water in you, and I can pull it out. And then she gives it back to them. And she's like, yeah, you ain't arresting me. I will willingly go with you. You don't arrest me.
Exactly.
Love Mira.
And the cups fall.
Nice.
Empty at least.
Oh, that's cool.
So are you ready to talk about your new project?
Oh, yes, we
Oh.
should. So yeah, I'm currently writing will be my second comic project. It's called Home. It's a fantasy miniseries, and we're currently on Kickstarter. And it's about a woman, Leah, who I like in life. She has no family. She has no friends. She's in a dead-end job, which I know a lot of people appreciate. And she was born with natural blue hair. And this makes her the object of ridicule her entire life. So by the time we meet her, she's essentially in a very big rut and is almost in depression. And she just doesn't know what to do until she sees the code, which I define as a literal living computer code. Imagine like the wall. Like everyone look at a wall right now. Let's look at the wall right there. Imagine just this computer code just as an overlay over a section of the wall. That's what she sees. She sees it everywhere. She sees it on walls. She sees it on cars. She sees it on buildings. And she's like, okay, this is weird. So, but eventually she interacts with it, and she realizes not only she interacts with it, she can fix it. And when she fixes it, things happen in the real world. So she takes this new life opportunity, if you will, to go around and helping people out. And eventually, she accidentally opens a portal to another dimension. And she gets forcibly pulled into said dimension. Doesn't that always happen to you? And she ends up in Altaria, which I like to define as a medieval world with certain futuristic twists. And she finds herself, in this place with these knights that look something straight out of sci-fi. And I'll definitely go into those. They're the city kingdom, which is attacked by these feral monsters known as the Shreef. And this world is apparently the origins of the code. So she's now stuck there, has to help these knights to save their home if she's ever to get back to her home, if she can even return home. And I'm wait to tell this story. So,
yeah,
sounds interesting.
Now, I'm just going to throw this out there, but there's some mild influence by the Matrix, at least at first, I'm guessing.
Un poco.
I mean, just seeing the code,
Yeah.
The Matrix revolutionized a whole lot of things in all sorts of genres.
As soon as you said code,
it's
like,
far
that's what I
from,
pictured.
I'm far from saying you're completely derivative
No,
of
I'm
it
not.
or anything
I
like
can
that.
tell you this world is not fake. It is not a simulation within a computer, which is in the minds of the blah, 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 yeah.
But no, it's just such an interesting idea for a power set.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she can see the nature of the world.
It's very interesting when we find out what the code truly is and why Alicia can even see it. Because I can honestly say that she's the only person on Earth that can see it, which is part of the reason she gets pulled into Altaria. Yeah. And, there is, my influences are everywhere. Like the armor of the knights, which are all individualized, which are all very personal because it's the code that makes them. It's essentially a DNA of sorts when it comes to that armor and their weapons, which also has a futuristic feel. But, I like to define the Knight's armor as a mix between Tron and Fire Emblem, the Nintendo series. Because
that's a fantastic artistic image right there.
Yeah. And if you go to the Kickstarter, you'll see Alicia in her knight armor as she'll have.
Yes, which looks really good.
It's sleek. It has the lines of like a Tron suit, but it has the armor of Fire Emblem, and you realize, okay, this is a knight's armor. And then once you see like the weapons and the things these knights will be able to do, you realize this isn't just flair. This was made for a reason. And the code is a big part of that, and there are only at any given time about a dozen knights in the entire Altaria, which is like thousands of people, and that plays a big part into the story of not only why they need Alicia, but why something big needs to happen, because the Shreef have numbers, where the knights have skill, and it's this fun dynamic that I can't wait to get into.
Now, with these knights, are they the only ones who can manipulate the code?
Yes.
Okay.
The knights are the only one who can see the code and manipulate it, but not every knight can see the same code. Like there are 6 people at this table. If we were all the knights, each of us would have our own set of armor, our own set of weapons, our own set of abilities that we can do. And not all of us would be warriors. There are 2 types of knights. There are the architects, and there are the warriors. And the warriors are the ones who go fight the Shreef head on, while the architects are more of like a defense force and repair, like damage control.
Yeah.
They can fix the buildings that get hurt. They can manipulate the earth so that a Shreef that strays into Altaria doesn't hurt the civilians. They're the defenders while the warriors are the protectors on the outside.
Yeah.
And so even in that, the architects do not have weapons. They use the code as defense mechanisms. They manipulate the environment. They create the environment even to build things to protect and repair. So it's even in there, the code is very individualized, like DNA. So
okay. I love the concept.
Thank you.
Because I read over the whole Kickstarter, and I'll
Thank
be
you.
pledging this upcoming week
Thank
because it sounds like an awesome project. It sounds really cool. I've always loved the blending of sci-fi and fantasy.
Me too.
In the different fashions that they do. The problem is I rarely see things that meld them in ways that are appealing.
Yeah.
I like this tech versus sci-fi thing, or tech versus fantasy thing, as in like Iron Man versus the Mandarin. Stuff like that. The conflicts, every so often you get some really interesting stuff out of them, but you so rarely see the 2 elements blended.
Yeah. And that's actually something I really wanted, because it would have been so easy to make, Altaria this futuristic city, like, I can't even think of a good example now, just like tech everywhere and blah, blah, blah. But it's not. It's actually very medieval. It's almost literally pulled from medieval times. And yet the knights are incredibly futuristic. And this confuses people because, why are they looking like from the future, which they don't even comprehend. They just accept it. But Alicia's like, you look like something out of a sci-fi movie. What's a sci-fi movie? What's a movie? It's like, but I love the idea of a culture clash, and it's just they accept it because it helps them fight the Shreef and defend their homes and repair their homes.
And in the lore, actually, you even use some really high sci-fi concepts. Like basically, they can program the world.
In a way.
That's kind of the gist I'm getting off of it, but by fixing the code, it's a very sci-fi computer-related concept.
Yeah, it's just a blend of things, and I love that because it appeals to a lot of people. And then,
it's a fantasy story that appeals to techies.
Yeah, and then at the heart of that is a story of this blue-haired woman who is very far from home and has to figure out how to get back to her home. And it's a very, even though we're talking about all these fantasy elements, this is very much Alicia's story. And that's
very character driven.
It is because like the first 5 pages. We have the first 5 pages up on the Kickstarter, and everyone asks me, why did you do like 5 pages like that? And it's like because it would have been so easy to do an opening shot of Altaria, have a fight scene, and then eventually cut back to Alicia. How many Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse comics do that? But instead, I was like, I have one flashy panel, but then a second semi-flashy panel, and then I go right into Alicia's story because I wanted the people to know. This is an incredibly relatable character. This is you and me. It's just she has blue hair.
Yeah.
And I love character stories. I love, stories that are relatable to people. And I would say Alicia is almost infinitely more relatable than the Guardians as we meet them. So,
not many of us were snapped into existence with powers.
Well, I don't know about you, but
I mean, I love this concept because I'm a huge fantasy fan. Dungeons and Dragons, Forgotten Realms.
Oh, you'll love the Shreef.
That's my whole genre there. But I like sci-fi too, but not as much. I don't read sci-fi as much as I do fantasy. But this sounds like a good melding.
Yeah, like I said,
sci-fi and fantasy where it's not going to matter to me. It's going to be. I'm really looking forward to this.
I appreciate that.
This really sounds awesome.
Thank you. Pledge to the Kickstarter.
Exactly.
But we got some good stuff, and like I said, this is a mini series. It's not like Orange just because I don't think it could do this particular story in ongoing and like keep it interesting. Whereas a mini series, I can keep it short, sweet, to the point.
Nice limited tell a finite story.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And like with Guardians, I have ideas up to issue 100. I'm already thinking about beyond that, and yes, I do know what the Guardians number 100 is going to be. Dragon War. But with Home, yes, could I expand it? Could I maybe even do 20 issues? Hate filler. That's the reason I do Guardians the way I do, which is 2-3 max story arcs, at least at the beginnings, because I don't want people to think we're filling it in. Like the most fillery episode we have is, I feel, is Guardians number 2. That's because it's the middle of a 3-arc story. But even then, we have big action piece. We reveal the master plan. And you get more dynamic between Element and Chaos.
It's not so much filler as it is exposition.
Exactly, and even then, there was a reason for the exposition. Whereas I'm sure we've all read comics where it's like there's this one issue where it's like if we had just cut that out, we could have just gotten to this point and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But and then with Home, I can have it to where every issue has a focus, every issue has a purpose, and then once it's done, that it could continue maybe. Like Alicia's story technically could continue, but you know that this story is done, and you're content with that.
Yeah.
So that's
good.
Thank you. I'm really excited, and I hope that the Kickstarter gets funded. We're 1/5 at the time of this recording. We are 1/5 of our way through our goal, and so
making excellent progress. Actually,
I like to think so.
You're making at least 100 a day, and with a 33-day Kickstarter. 25 days is your fill mark.
Yeah, so it's just stressful. I'm like,
I'm sure.
No, it's rough because I swear to you, 4 days before I launched my Kickstarter, there's a guy who launched a Kickstarter and he got funded in 6 hours. And then a guy launched a Kickstarter after me, and he was funded in 3 days. And he was like, "Oh, I only told a few of my friends, and I was already funded." And I'm like, where's that from me?
It's so finicky, I feel is the word.
Yeah.
So you have to appeal to the public in just the right way for something like that to boom.
Yeah. It is, and I'm fine doing the grind and getting funded. That's
sometimes it takes the whole run.
I know a guy who really got funded like 48 hours before he reached it, and I know Greg Pak. He had one for a children's book, and this is Greg Pak. He does Superman, and he does Marvel, and he does DC, and all these, and he barely got funded for one of his projects. And so it's like, if this creator who has the name recognition, it's a crapshoot. But I try it.
It's tough, but it's a brilliant thing for the indie creator.
Yeah, and it is so good now. I mean, and you learn from your failures. Like, I'm not ashamed to say, okay, it's not ashamed. I'm not afraid to say I tried Guardians 4 times on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And the first one was complete bupkis. I mean, I was totally stupid. I mean, I'm glad I didn't get a single pledge, and I'm glad. The second time, I was like, okay, this hurts. The third time, I was like, okay, we're learning. Fourth time, I got 2/3 of my goal, but we just didn't make it. Then I applied all of that, and I'm putting it here into home, and I'm really hoping it pays off. But I think the big thing for me is just that I wanted to not just make a story that I feel appealed, which is why I didn't do superheroes this go around. I wanted fantasy, comic, and this home actually came off of the Oni Press submissions, if you guys remember that. Yeah, and that's where home came from, and I was really happy with it. I started thinking about it. It got rejected, obviously, but it was just like, it's fine. How many submissions they got, But it gave me the idea, and I was like, man, I really want to make. So I started doing concept art, and I'm like, screw it, we got to do it. And that's where Kickstarter came in, because I knew I could at least have a chance of funding it.
Well, you've learned after a few tries, and I'd say it looks like I look at quite a few Kickstarters.
Thank you.
Because I'm a huge fan of that being a way for people to get what they want to make out there.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. And if people want to donate to get these things into reality, it's a fantastic system.
Yeah.
It works off the goodwill of others. But I've looked at a lot, and honestly, yours is a very comprehensive. It's put together.
Yeah.
It's got a solid synopsis. There's enough concept art. There's enough tease.
Yeah, there's 5-page preview.
And
that is from Home
just
No.
enough lore.
And, there's good rewards.
Yes, and the rewards are solid.
Let's get to those, because those are whatever. I had a guy talk to me on Facebook. He's like, you should stop begging people for money. I'm like, that's not how Kickstarter works.
Not quite.
No, you do. You do essentially.
If you want to boil it down, but
if you want, it's begging them and you offer. I like to think
it's posting a one ad for more money.
Yeah.
There you go. But it's also an exchange, because you give these rewards. You're required to give these rewards.
Yes, you do have to commit to that.
Yeah, and you get in trouble if you don't post the reward or do not give the rewards. And there have been Kickstarters who have failed to give the rewards and have gotten in big trouble. So. But I like to think we have good rewards. We have your basics. You can get the PDF copy of the comic. You can get a physical copy of the comic. You can get put in a thank you section. However many names it takes. And then we have my two favorites. Well, some of my favorites, which is the $25 rewards. Mm-hmm. We have a special guest actually on us with the Kickstarter and Home No. 1. Her name is AZ Power Girl Karen Nicole. She's a famous cosplayer. Absolutely stunning and very kind individual. She actually worked with me on Guardians. She made a.
And I'm going to emphasize again, excellently stunning.
She is excellent and stunning and excellently stunning.
And let's say well equipped to be Power Girl.
Oh yeah, she conforms to the outfit. Let's put it like that. But she's great, and she's worked with me on Guardians, and when I mentioned Home, she's like, oh yeah, I'll totally help you with that. And so she's doing two things. She's doing a variant cover with her husband, Alfred Trujillo, which will be exclusive to this Kickstarter. And I swear I did not offer this to her, she did this on her own. She's going to make a cosplay of Alicia, do a photo shoot as Alicia, and then the prints will be part of the reward.
That is fantastic.
That's cool. That's the one I pledged.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pledging the one up from that so I can get the Guardians PDFs.
Yeah, that's the other one. Is that
the
other $25 reward is you will get every single issue of Guardians PDF style sent to you, including not only the issue we're working on right now, which is Guardians number 11, but the issue that's going to come next, which is Guardians number 12, just so you have a complete story arc, no cliffhangers. So essentially, you are getting
awesome
15 comics, 13 from Guardians, and then Home No. 1 physical and PDF for $25.
Yeah.
And then so there's that, and then obviously the Easy Power Girl for everyone who loves cosplay and variant covers, because I know people love that. And these two, and Alfred and Kara are very good artists. Like I said, they did one art thing for me before, and Alfred has numerous commissions. They're at NYCC right now. And
Really?
Like, yeah, they're doing like commissions on the fly, and she's doing her many cosplays, which I love. So I hope to be there next year, honestly, but we'll see what happens. C2E2 is fine for me for now. And then you can get drawn into the comic. That's a fun reward, but it's only for 15 people because I even though I have
there's only so many people you can fit in a comic.
It's like this. When we made the 5 pages, there were scenes where I could have put people in them, but I wanted to get the pages done. I don't want to go back. And we'll offer this reward, should we need to do one for every issue. So if you miss it on this one, you can get it on the next one if we get funded. But that's fun. You can be put on a special variant cover that's only for 10 people, so that one will only be for them. You can chat with me, and I'll help you develop your idea. Because everyone needs someone to just listen to their idea and say, what works, what doesn't. Maybe offer that one idea, just puts it all together. I've actually done that with my friends. And they're like, man, I'm glad you understand everything I'm going through. I'm like, yeah, because I went through that too. I wish I had that opportunity to just talk to someone when I was making Guardians, especially at the beginning, instead of just hearing, why are you doing a superhero comic? You can help. Like I mentioned, our monsters known as the Shreef. We have a version of them on the Kickstarter. We're going to have 2 more. Yeah. You can help make the next version of the Shreef. It's expensive, I won't lie, but if you did, you can also say, that's my monster.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Which would be something pretty cool to claim.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
And then we have you get to have a custom piece of art made by our artists for you. We have some limitations, and we keep it safe for work people, but that's always fun. And then the top one, you can become a Knight of Altaria, be a recurring character in the comic throughout, and be seen in Home Number 1. And that's only for 5 people because like I said, there's only 12, 13 knights at any given time.
Yeah.
So you will have your face, your name, your own armor, which you'll help design, and color palette. And you can pick your weapon. I've already got a person trying to get that, and she's already told me what she's wanting.
Yeah.
Actually, I can tell you this, as a thank you to Miss Power Girl, Karen Nicole, for being in there. I'm making her one of the knights.
Yeah.
So she's gonna be one of the warriors,
that is cool.
And I'm gonna have her color scheme of Power Girl as her knight armor. So it's a nice little homage to how I know her.
That would be good.
So, but yeah, you can be one of the knights, and you'll be a recurring character, speaking, interacting, and everything. It's honestly the highest. And you'll have a special light. It's called the Knight variant cover. But you and Alicia in your knight armor on the cover of Home Number 1, special only for those 5 people.
That is awesome.
Fantastic.
Pretty good award, yeah.
Yeah. So, and if you can't do that, depending on how long it takes to get funded, I have a way that we can subvert that. So if nothing else, pledge to the Kickstarter and pay attention to the updates, because we can reveal how you can be the knight without pledging to the 500. So should you be interested?
Yeah.
But I love Home, and I love the idea of Home, and I really want to make this comic right away. I'm really pushing hard with this. Kickstarter might help be danged.
It sounds.
Who needs help?
It sounds amazing. I hope you get funded, man, because it sounds like a great read.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be pledging to this.
Please do.
Because it's something I want to read this.
Yeah.
This sounds amazing.
It's got an incredible concept. I love it.
That's an important point. I name off all these big rewards and everything, but we have $3, $5, $10, $1.
Oh yeah.
Rewards. If you can pledge only $3, don't feel bad. That's all you can do. Like I know, especially some of us here. I'm proud to say I'm kind of broke myself, which is why I'm doing Kickstarter, because most of my side money is going to Guardians and the debts I have to pay. You know how that is.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's just that don't feel bad. You don't have to pay unless the Kickstarter is funded, and you can upgrade or even downgrade. I've had that happen before. Should things happen. So if you say I want to pledge $25, don't think of it as I'm paying $25 right now. Think of it as I'm paying like $6 for 4 weeks. That's a good way to think of it, and then you just take that out of your budget. I have a friend who helped us get to 500 yesterday, and I told him he pledged over the amount of the reward just so we could get solid 500, which he messed up. We actually got 502, but and I said, here's what we'll do. You keep that for now, but then if we get funded, drop it down to the solid 75, and that way you keep that $11 because I know money is tight for people.
Yeah.
If I could get, say, we're at $527, or $552 right now. At the time of this recording, if I got 600, 700 people to pledge $3. I'd be the happiest man on earth.
Yeah, you're done.
Because that, not only is that done, I can hopefully count on those 600, 700 people to pledge the $3 should we need to do the next Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm doing is sending them the PDF of home number 1, which helps me with shipping and tax and all that stuff. So I don't mind that. But if which is honestly one of my goals, if I would get 100 people to pledge $25 to home, which is $2,500 right there, wicked,
Yeah.
Whether it's the Guardians or Easy Power Girl, I don't care. That helps us get fun. I will take however you can give it to me, however many people it takes. I know Kickstarters have been funded by 30 people, 80 people, hundreds and thousands of people.
Yeah.
I understand that. That's the beauty of Kickstarter is that it supports everyone.
Yep.
And I will take any support we get. And if you can't pledge, absolutely fine. Spread the
just-
word. Spread the word. That helps.
Yeah, share on Facebook.
Yeah, share on
etc.
Facebook.
etc.
Share on Facebook. Share on Twitter. I'm on Google Plus too, and I'm using those as best I can. I'm doing podcasts, people.
There you go.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps. That's what I keep saying, to everyone. And yeah, I'm passionate about home, and if the worst comes to pass, it doesn't succeed, I will find a way to make it. But this is the best way to get it out the quickest way possible. So, and if we were to get funded, stars align in the next, 5 hours or whatever, at the time of recording, 4 people pledge to the Knights of Altaria and we get funded, I'm calling my team and I'm saying, we got funded, let's keep going. And we'll have the comic done faster than ever before. So, yeah. But I'll take it however I can get it. I'll take any support people can give me, and I am grateful for anyone and everyone who helps out to home, because that shows that they're willing to support essentially a no-name. So,
all right.
Yep.
Well, I think I speak for everyone sitting at the table that we all hope that happens.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine anybody here not wanting that to happen, especially since I'm pretty sure we all want to read it.
Yeah.
They all get copies.
That's one of the keys. Cause
but with that being said, we have to wrap this up because we are running out of time.
Sorry.
But real quick, no, that's perfectly fine. That's what we had you on here was to talk about your stuff. But real quick, something we didn't cover. If people want it, where can they get Guardians?
They can get it multiple ways. They can get it on our main website, guardians-comic.com. They can get it on Comixology. I know some people prefer
digital
official websites. We also just put our comics on Drive-Thru Comics. The prices vary based on the website. Guardians number 0 is actually free on guardianscomic.com, guardians-comic.com. So, don't be afraid to try it out free. You can read it in browser even.
Yeah.
And then everything else is right there, and we update it with every single issue we have. So,
Yep. And don't forget, pledging to the Kickstarter for $25, you can get your or more. You can get yourself Guardians.
Yep, you can. You get every single issue and the issues coming up. So, and then just look up Home on Kickstarter. If you go to the comics section, it's the first one, or you just type in Home, the girl with the blue hair, and you'll find us.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right, that's going to wrap up this edition of The Fans Perspective. We'd like to thank Todd for coming in here. And
yes.
Honored to be here.
Great having you. Even though I was already planning on reading both Guardians and Home, so long as, of course, it gets made, which I imagine it will.
Yeah. One way or another.
Yeah. Money is going to be going your way soon for that. So.
Thank you.
But I'm now quadruply interested in reading Guardians.
Quadruply, ladies and gentlemen.
A lot more lore and character stuff. I'm fascinated. I'm very excited.
Thank you.
Read it, people.
Exactly.
That's all we're really trying to say here. Buy it, read it, love it, because you're going to.
Share it.
All right. So for The Fans Perspective, I'm Double A Ron.
Juicebox.
Uber Bulge.
Black Magic.
Clay Zeus.
And Westicles.
All right. Have a good one, people.